Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how in a Big Blue Door we implemented a LGD Microsite theming using Vite as a builder tool. It was for a project. It is it is still in progress actually for a later City Council microsite project. Quick representation. My name is Marco Pagliarulo, software architect and Drupal developer with more than 20 years of experience. Started working with Drupal since Drupal 5, working with Big Blue Door since 1 year. I'm Italian. I don't like spaghetti with bolognese sauce, neither with code. If you want to follow me, here they are my Drupal and GitHub profile. So let's start from what was the starting point using LGD Microsite. LGD Microsite has a really great UI styling system when you can customize colors, font size, spacing for directly from the backend. It is a great balance between usability and customization. Work really well for standard use cases, but it has limitation. For example, for supporting different font sizing and spacing for different breakpoints or custom header and footer layout, which are quite opinionated. I mean, there is a fixed structure for header and footer. So we faced the challenge to create a new base theme for microsites and one or more children theme without creating boilerplate code duplication, because the immediate solution could be just to implement a theme and then copy paste, but it would not be maintainable on a long term. Then we use SAS as a primary way to write our CSS, and we have many useful mixin utilities that we use. Same problem, different theme. We should have copied over all the mixin and all the other utilities across all the teams, having to duplicate maintenance in case of improvement and so on. And then we wanted to optimize CSS and asset delivery and support the multiple breakpoints as we usually do. That is not so simple it's not possible from the microsite UI. So the solution was Vite plus Drupal library system. I hope you recognize this image, otherwise it means that I'm getting old. This is from Dragon Ball. So why Vite? First, let me start say thank you to Artem and Miles, who are two of my colleagues who implemented firstly Vite within our process. We use Vite for other scenarios. So far, not yet for microsites. So I decided to reuse it for microsites. Many advantages. Some of those are native support for SAS, auth module replacement, one of the best in my opinion. It works in less than 1 second. Performance optimization, like icon embedding, so icons are embedded directly inside the CSS. You have in your source code the SVG file, and they get embedded directly for performance purpose within the CSS. There is a rich plugin ecosystem, so you can install plugin for linting, for example, even setting rules to fail the build in case a coding standard is not followed, so reducing the possibility of error within the code. And then custom resolver that has been an important part of this solution, which is actually not directly coming from Vite, but from Rollup, which is the builder that Vite use to build the final the final CSS. How to integrate Vite with Drupal? There is a Drupal module, works really well. So what I'm going to show you are the configuration and essential code needed to use Vite alongside the Drupal library system to take advantage of library override and extend. For every basic usage, you can refer to the modules and Vite documentation. Here I'm going to focus on what is the specific case scenario. So first of all, after installing the Drupal module, we need to know the module where our HMR server is running. Usually we can add to the settings local. It is needed only on local. We can add a flat array to inform Vite. In this scenario, we have multiple themes, all compiled by Vite. So we need for everyone expose the HMR dev server to a different port, and we use this configuration. So for every theme, we add the overrides and the keys informing which address the dev server is available, and we can turn on and turn off the dev server by just this use dev server settings. So when it is false, the compiled CSS are served. When it is true, the HMR works. Then we need to inform Vite that we are going to use libraries and not a single CSS, because by default it tends to generate a single CSS file. So to the theme info YAML file, we have to add just this option, the enabling all libraries. And then for every library we define within our theme libraries list, we need to add the required information by Vite, so where the distribution directory is located, what is the base URL, and difference between the usual compared to the usual CSS library definition, where we add the path to the CSS file. In this case, since we use SAS, we provide the SCSS file. Then will be Vite taking care of picking up the proper file, SAS or CSS, in base of the if we are using the dev server or not. There is right now a little patch that need to be installed to Vite, because in production live Vite works perfectly for using libraries. When you use the dev server, it doesn't, without the patch, it doesn't respect the library order. So the final result is totally unpredictable. Just adding the patch solved the problem. We're using it, and there is no, so far, no problem. Then now we have to work with Vite config. Now the Drupal module has all the information needed. What we need is to inform Vite config about the our SAS files, where they are located. We should add for every library an entry to the Vite config, and because especially with LocalGov that use libraries, it could become really extensive, tough to maintain. So in this case, what we implemented is basically a little script that, using the node module, the node package YAML, read the library's YAML file and extract all the reference to the CSS and JS files, put in a flat array, and then it is provided to the Vite configuration, specifically to the rollup input property. And then automatically in this way, with this little code, Vite knows which files retrieve and compile. So it is enough just to add a library to our library's YAML file every time we need, without any additional effort. Now we have everything set up to have Vite compiling the library files. We can use without any problem at this point the library overrides and library extend provided by Drupal. But since we use SAS, we have utilities. Utilities that are needed probably in every single of these libraries. So we should import every single utility files into, for example, mixing variables and so on, in every single SAS files. We can solve this problem by using the preprocessor provided by Vite. So with this code, we can add the additional data property, allow us to add SAS code into every single file that Vite processes. The important part in this example is the import styles imports, which is a SAS file which imports everything, variable, mixin, and so on. And it uses the alias styles, which is important for another piece of this implementation. So now, as I said, we have the libraries that can be extended, overridden without any issue, but we don't have the same mechanism working for the SAS file. So what happens if I have a variable SAS where I want to define a color variable where I want to define all the colors, or a font one where I want to define all the font family used by the individual theme, and I want to be able to override, and they are partial files, for example, are partial SCSS, so not exposed as individual libraries, or I want to extend or override a mixin. Rollup allows to define some alias, like in this case, styles. Simple configuration is just an array find and replacement when we say a specific string and provide the string to replace it, that in this case is the location of the actual styles. But we have custom resolver. So after Rollup performed the replacement, it can call the custom resolver that allow to customize the logic to discover the files. In this case, the implementation is quite simple. There are some common naming convention SAS file, standalone and partial SAS files, and then scanning the possible candidate, we look for exactly the same file within the current team. If we don't find anything, then it goes to the next iteration that go to discover the same files if the same files exist on the parent team. This piece of implementation is required only for the children teams, not for the parent one. So result is that let's see, we have these two directories, parent theme and children theme. As you can see in the children theme, all the abstraction directory is missing, is totally missing. So all the breakpoint definition, all the custom implementation, custom mixin, the grid system. So when Vite compile the children team, anyway, inside the SAS file, it finds the references, the import of those files, either if they come from the children SAS file or from the parent. And then it retrieves automatically because of the custom resolver, the breakpoint custom grid inside mixin from the parent. This means that every mixin is shared from the parent to every children. I don't have to copy over all the code. If I need to fix a mixin or enhance a mixin, automatically it gets applied to the children. If for any reason I need, for example, in the children team to define, we use 4 breakpoints. I want to use a different media query. I can just create my abstraction breakpoint SCSS within the children team, and it will be automatically overridden. So I can customize, maintaining all the other shared code within the parent. So I think that last bit in terms of configuration is when we run dev server, of course, we want to run both the dev server, parent and children, in order to have any changes applied to the parent, which is inherited by the children, to be actually immediately available during development. A node module like concurrently allow to run concurrently 2 different node process, and it as a result give us the both the theme running at the same time. I have an example running here. Yes. So we have the base theme and the family hub. So whatever I change during my development process, anything inside base theme or the family of the family hub theme, I got all the CSS updated properly. So we have the 2 different themes. The basic one, which define all the common code, and then, for example, you can see the callout box. Mostly, what is changes are just the colors and button used in this scenario. If I go, for example, to the code, and let me put this on the side so you can see immediately the change. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Deleted too much. Okay. So auto refreshing the page. Okay. So as you can see now, the callbox are using the original code used by the base, because the callout is box is empty, and all the code is basically on the base. So as you can see here from the code, is just color changing and using a specific button dark background, which is a placeholder not available on the base. So this is a customization for the children, because I have darker background, so I need a lighter button. Or I can apply other changes. For example, this is a little utility that we have here, responsive spacing, where just putting a number, we can have a mapped set of values for the pad, for values used then for margin, padding, and so on. So for every breakpoint, we have 14, 12, 12, 10 pixels, for example. So I want to increase to 20 pixels, to the unit 20, the padding to every callout box, and automatically I got all the padding updated for all the breakpoints, starting from desktop to mobile, according to the design system that we are using. So in this way, I can reuse as many, and as I say, this mixing responsible spacing is available within the base theme. So it's generate conformity within the teams, because the tools are the same. The code looks almost identical, so it is simple to switch, even for a developer to switch from one theme to another. Even if one theme has been implemented by one developer, and 1 year after, a new theme must be implemented by another developer, it becomes simple, because everything is uniform, standardized within all the teams. And I think that's it. So, any question?
Just a quick one. I mean, so I haven't used Vite. I'm not really a front ender, but dabbled at times. Sorry?
Me neither.
Okay.
I primarily
but I mean, it's a bit, you're using Sass and having to CSS, pre-process the Sass into CSS and all that stuff. In LocalGov Drupal base and child themes, it's just vanilla CSS. So what are the motivations for using Sass in the first place, which adds some complexity, but also adds some functionality, right?
Well, CSS could become really messy. It's simple. But it has a limitation. There is a lot of risk of duplication. Refactoring is a nightmare. Better thanks to CSS variables. But there are it's highly possible to type wrongly a variable, even because they become complex and more complex and more complex to give a context. With CSS variables, you just have that they don't work. So if you type badly a CSS variable, there is no error. It just doesn't work.
So because there's no compiling step, it's less easy to debug where you've gone wrong.
There's nothing to change. So you can reuse. For example, let's assume one component, the card component. You can have 20 different versions on a site with slight difference, but the overall look is quite identical. Maybe you have an additional link that needs an extra padding. So you can use a placeholder where you put all the card styles that you need, and then within card with image, you use the placeholder, extend card, and then you add the CSS rule for the images. You need card, as you can see in the code that I shared before, call out button dark background. It's a button that is designed to go on a background which are dark. If I can use, I can copy paste all the CSS because I need the border, the background, doesn't matter if I have the variables. Anyway, I'm duplicating code. Even if I use CSS variables, if I have 10 instances of buttons, unless I have a unique class, but it is not always the case, I have to define background, use the variable button background color, color, use the variable color, button color, and so on. So these 4 or 5 lines of code must be duplicated 20 times, 100 times. They become a nightmare to maintain. I have my button placeholder, which is the basic button. Then I have 4 variations. Every one extends the main button, where I just change the background, the color, or the overstate, or whatever it's needed. If my padding, my button require 2 more pixel padding overall the site, I go to the button placeholder and I change in one place, and it apply everything everywhere.
So if to clarify, is this all a feature of just SAS, or is this a feature of Vite?
This is SAS.
This is SAS, yeah.
This is SAS. The solution that I implemented was to be able to share mixin and utilities across the theme. The button placeholder, unless I override specifically from the children theme, I can use the one from the parent. And then my button dark background extend the button provided by the parent. So in this way, I can maintain, I can choose if customize the children team or maintain coherence and integrity with the parent team.
It's worth having a look at single directory components, which gives us some reusability. But one of the limitations with CSS is media queries. So having to write out media queries longhand, that's a bit of a trade-off where the architectural decision was kind of taken not to have the build tools so that people could theme rapidly. But then, you know, there are a few limitations with what we can do with CSS when we don't have mix-ins. And for media queries, we need to wait for CSS and HTML standards to catch up, so that we perhaps don't need those build tools.
I guess because you mentioned that you're primarily a backend developer, maybe this question will make some sense. This seems like there's a lot of advantages here for the developer experience when you're theming things, as in while you are working on changes. With having extra compile steps, have you noticed a lot of trade-off with your releasing process? So like new deployments and things have a lot of more complexity?
No, the building require seconds. It's up to you. You can decide to commit your CSS or let the work done by the deployment process. Personally, I prefer the second option because compiling and committing into the repo increase exponentially the problem of conflict, while if you have it compiled on deployment, you can have multiple developers working on the same theme at the same time, as long as they don't touch the same files, so you don't have conflict. Instead, if you commit the compiled CSS from the local environment, you get the last one compiled by the slowest, let's say, the slowest developer. So you risk to lose all the previous one if the developer didn't rebase constantly from the main repository. No, it doesn't add much overhead. It's really a matter of seconds.